Yeah, we are live on rampoonradio.com and on YouTube. I'm going to put on Facebook just now.
Which one you prefer them to be on, Facebook or Rampoon Radio?
They could do the YouTube or the Facebook, it don't matter. Or it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But we would only be able to get response from them on Rampoon Radio, on Facebook easy, or YouTube.
You're already live on YouTube?
Yeah, we're live on YouTube and rampoonradio.com. I'm going to do the Facebook next.
We got to become more competent, the way we protect the environment and fight for all that it's worth, fight to save Mother. Mother crying. In case you don't know, the planet is dying slow. What a sad way to go. Get it. Ozone layers depleting, endless factories belching tons of pollutants in the atmosphere. Rivers and seas can't escape on Mother Earth. We constantly commit rape. We're even planning to strip the Amazon bare. Acid rain on the nations, species haunted to extinction. A roller coaster ride to self-destruction. Stop mankind from digging a certain grave. We got to get together. It's Mother Earth we must save. That's why I'm begging. Mother Earth is crying. You say to stop the polluting. Mother Earth. Oh yeah. In the beginning, by the sixth day morning, the whole of creation was given birth. And then God made man and give him dominion over every living creature on the earth. Tragedy in the garden, we all know it happened. Shamefully banished from Eden, we witnessed the first paradise lost. And since then is Mother Earth who ends up paying the cost. That's why I'm pleading, Mother Earth is crying. You say to stop the polluting. Mother Earth is dying. We got to stop the polluting. Whole attitude got to change and priorities rearrange. We got to become more competent, the way we protect the environment and fight for all that it's worth, fight to save Mother. Mother crying. In case you don't know, the planet is dying slow. What a sad way to go. Get it. Acid rain on the nations, species haunted to extinction. A roller coaster ride to self-destruction. Stop mankind from digging a certain grave. We got to get together, this Mother Earth we must save. That's why I'm begging Mother Earth. Oh yeah. In the beginning, by the sixth day morning, the whole of creation was given birth. And then God made man and give him dominion over every living creature on the earth. Tragedy in the garden, we all know it happened. Shamefully banished from Eden, we witnessed the first paradise lost. And since then is Mother Earth who end up paying the cost. That's why I'm pleading, Mother Earth is crying. He said to stop the polluting. Mother Earth is dying. We got to stop the polluting. Whole attitude got to change and priorities rearrange. We got to become more competent. The way we protect the environment and fight for all that it's worth. Fight to save Mother Earth. Mother Earth crying. In case you don't know, the planet Earth dying slow. What a sad way to go. Get it. The ozone layers depleting, endless factories belching tons of pollutants in the atmosphere. Rivers and seas can't escape on Mother Earth. We constantly commit rape. We're even planning to strip the Amazon bare. Acid rain on the nations, species haunted to extinction. A roller coaster ride to self-destruction. Stop mankind from digging a certain grave. We got to get together, it's Mother Earth we must save. That's why I'm begging, Mother Earth is crying. He said to stop the polluting. Mother Earth is dying. We got to stop the polluting. Whole attitude got to change and priorities rearrange. We got to become more competent. The way we protect the environment and fight for all that is worth. Fight to save Mother Earth. Mother Earth crying. In case you don't know, the planet Earth dying slow. What a sad way to go. then God made man and give him dominion over every living creature on the earth. Tragedy in the garden, we all know it happened. Shamefully banished from Eden, we witness the first paradise lost. And since then his mother earth who ends up paying the cost. That's why I'm pleading, Mother Earth is crying. He said to stop people eating. Mother Earth is dying. We got to stop people eating. Whole attitude got to change and priorities rearrange. We got to become more competent. The way we protect the environment and fight for all that it's worth. Fight to save Mother Earth. Mother Earth crying. In case you don't know, the planet Earth dying slow. What a sad way to go. Get it. Ozone layers depleting, endless factories belching tons of pollutants in the atmosphere. Rivers and seas can't escape on Mother Earth. We constantly commit rape. We're even planning to strip the Amazon bare. Acid rain on the nation, species haunted to extinction. A roller coaster ride to self-destruction. Stop mankind from digging a certain grave. We got to get together. This Mother Earth we must save. That's why I'm begging. Mother Earth is crying. We said to stop the polluting. Mother Earth is dying. We got to stop the polluting. Whole attitude got to change and priorities rearrange. We got to become more competent. The way we protect the environment and fight for all that is worth. Fight to save Mother Earth. Mother Earth crying. In case you don't know, the planet.
Hello everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome. This is Mother Earth. We have to return to Mother Earth before we go back to Mother Earth. My name is Mr. Larry. I'm here today with Dr. Richards and Dr. Charles. Yeah, we are here and we will tell you some stuff when it comes to eating healthy, the Christmas herbs, natural living. You know, this is New Year and people talking about New Year's resolution, all that good stuff. So we have to make sure that we try to bring to our community, show them that there are different ways to live and eat healthy. So let me welcome Dr. Let me make sure. Dr. Richards. Good day to you. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Lion. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, all in one. How are you doing?
All that. How was your Christmas and your New Year?
It was fantastic. You know, a little exciting because of some health difficulties in the family.
Yeah.
Right? But you know, we'll come to that later.
Okay.
Right? But an excellent Christmas. A Christmas with my wife in quarantine at one point.
Yeah. You had to go into quarantine too?
My wife had to go into quarantine.
Okay. And of course we have our very distinguished guest with us today, right? All the way from I can't say South Trinidad, I'll just say Trinidad. Dr. Charles, welcome, Dr. Charles. How you doing?
Pleasant good evening. I was just informed actually by my brother. Apparently, there's an issue with the internet, and it may go down shortly. Unfortunately, he just called me to tell me that. I'm not sure what the problem is.
Well, let's knock on wood that everything will be well. Yeah, knock on wood.
All right.
So how you doing? Everything good?
Good and getting better.
All right, nice.
Okay, good.
Nice. So we just had the Christmas season, we had the New Year, and bam! You know, everybody else have New Year's resolutions, and everybody want to eat healthy. They want to, be healthy for the New Year. But sometime by the 15th of January, it seems like all that has stepped away. So today we're looking at giving advice, from the standpoint of helping people to try to eat healthy and ways in which they can. Dr. Richards.
Yes, Doctor. Yes, Lion. Lion. Thank you for having us on Rampoon as usual. Right. I just want to welcome all the guests and say that we will continue to be on once a month, and our aim is not only to share advice here, but also to ensure that you have access to those resources when we are not available. So we aim to empower you, right? A very few people recognize how much research has already gone into Caribbean herbs, and that is one of our themes. And another of our themes is the culture, the wonderful culture that we have, which surrounds the herbs and their uses. So back to what Lion was saying, we want to have a seasonal program today. We didn't have a Christmas program, but here we are. And I want to look back a little bit to Christmas and look a little forward to the new year in terms of health. So looking back to Christmas, I'd like to maybe highlight one or two of the herbs that we use to celebrate Christmas and talk about their value in health and nutrition. And then when we look forward to the new year, I want to invite Dr. Charles to help us think about our fitness and health as we go through January. All right, Lion?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. Yeah. We had to say welcome to one and all. And Dr. Charles, I would not call you a newbie on Rampoon, but when it comes to this program, you certainly are, and we will definitely be tapping into your expertise today. All right? I hope you're ready like Freddie.
I am.
So when it comes to say you're looking back at the Christmas, there are some Christmas herbs that Dr. Richards, that we use, right, on an everyday basis, and maybe we do not pay attention to it, but they are healthy stuff. Could you give us some of that as it is?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say an everyday basis to all of them. For example, some of us eat cloves only at Christmas and nutmegs only at Christmas. Some of us, others do use them every day. You're a Grenadian, so you have to promote nutmeg. Let me start with the king. And of all the spices, of all the Christmas foods and spices, the king or queen of them all is the true cinnamon. Right? The true cinnamon in a study of 26 different herbs tested for antioxidant activity, cinnamon was by far the most powerful of those herbs. Right? Putting garlic to shame and some of the other superfoods. Yeah, and garlic is pretty good in itself.
Hold it right there. Now you say the antioxidants, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we don't want to get too far. For the layman, somebody who might not understand it, just tell us, what does the antioxidants in those products do? You know, so as a step by step when it comes to how the value and how valuable it is.
Yeah, I really should do that. And I hope I'm inviting Dr. Charles to jump in as well. Okay, Doc? Well, from a chemistry point of view, first of all, I'd like to say that the layman is pretty familiar with the term antioxidant, right? People stop you on the street and ask you about antioxidants all the time. So we have anti and we have oxygen, right? Why do we want to be anti-oxygen, right? Oxygen is supposed to be something good, something that we breathe. But I want to remind everybody that oxygen is a powerful and very reactive chemical. As soon as you cut a fruit in half, like an apple or a banana, it starts to turn brown. And that's the power of oxygen, right? Already reacting with the fruit. You leave a nail outside or your car, right? And it starts to rust. This planet is reacting with oxygen all the time. And in your body, oxygen forms all sorts of other oxygen varieties, which attack your DNA, attack your tissues, right? Attack your enzymes. You know, sometimes those powerful types of oxygen, like superoxide, right? And ozone, very, very reactive. Peroxides, right? They are sometimes doing damage inside of your system, right? As good as oxygen is, as necessary as it is to us getting our energy, it has some serious side effects. And so our body enjoys the oxygen, but at the same time defends itself. Water is a wonderful thing, but we can drown in water. And so we make sure that we don't breathe it in. So in the same way, the body uses the oxygen powerfully, but protects itself with its own antioxidants. Now, in addition to that, plants contain substances, especially what we call polyphenols, which, when they come into oxygen, they react very quickly with the oxygen. That same browning reaction that you see in fruits, right, is the polyphenols being oxidized. And so once they go in our body, they serve to mop up wild oxygen and protect our DNA, right? Protect our DNA from mutations, which could lead to cancer, right? They protect our enzymes and our fats as well, right? Though the fats are less susceptible than, and it's less important than any attack on our DNA. Attacks on our DNA can cause cancers in our cells, and if that attack happens in our sperm or eggs, it can cause malformations and illness in our offspring. Would you like to add something about antioxidants there, Albert?
Yes, you're on point from the biochemical standpoint. In natural medicine, one of the things that we also look at, as we were discussing, you and I had a little conversation here earlier today. From an energy perspective, what happens at the atomic level is that the energy frequency of the cells change with either increased or decreased oxygen. You have a change in the state of the energy at the level of the electron. Now, and it's interesting you mentioned cinnamon, because one of the things that the energy of the cinnamon does is, in terms of, to use a word, and I want to keep it simple, first of all, a lot of the people that will be looking. If you can think in terms of the human body as an interconnected battery. And if you have certain types of food, as you're saying, like with oxygen is good for us, but if we have too much energy in a battery, what happens? Battery starts to overheat. If you have too much energy in a circuit, you have overheating. And if you have too much energy in the body, you have an imbalance as well. And that imbalance at the energetic level produces an imbalance at the biochemical level. What cinnamon does simply is help regulate that. It reduces blood pressure. There's evidence that shows that the triglyceride and LDL, which is so-called bad cholesterol levels, are controlled. The HDL, which is considered good cholesterol, as the cinnamon works with the internal body chemistry, it helps to improve and regulate via the kidneys, as what this is what we learn in naturopathic knowledge, via the kidneys, it helps regulate and filter the blood so that the heart health increases by removing excess cholesterol from the blood vessels itself. I'll
Interesting.
pause there for a minute.
Interesting, right? Lion? Right? That is something about antioxidants.
That's
the
why.
main- yeah,
That's
the-
why I say let's take it step by step. So we giving them the holistic picture of the value of some of our natural foods and the spices that we use. You know, so that's why you could continue now with what you were saying. Now that we have the breakdown on the meaning of the antioxidant.
Well, Lion, I think that Dr. Albert Charles there really did jump in and continue there to talk about the value of cinnamon. Right? He brought it right back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You know, for me, cinnamon is just a lovely flavor.
It is.
And Columbus was looking for it when he came across the sea, right? Realizing that that these cinnamon and other substances like that were in big demand in Europe because they'd use them to make their winter food, the food that they stored over winter, you know, got pretty disgusting over the months. And so herbs, using herbs to lift the flavor and using herbs to help with the preservation of the food was very, very important. It caused kings to launch expeditions around the world. When Columbus arrived here, he found a tree that our native ancestors had, which also contains some of the compounds of cinnamon. And he thought he had found the cinnamon of Ceylon, of Sri Lanka, right? It wasn't. It was a different plant. But he wrote home to Spain in delight. I have found the cinnamon. Okay? Dr. Charles, you're batting good there when it comes to cinnamon. So you go ahead and tell us some more about the health benefits of cinnamon, please.
All right. It's interesting that you mentioned the Europeans and what was happening. From a historical / medical perspective, one of the reasons for that actually is because one of the things that had been noted, and we know a little bit more about it now, is that cinnamon has a particular set of compounds called coumarins, and these are compounds that help prevent the narrowing of blood vessels, and they also offer protection against blood clotting. Now, one of the things that you would know, during winter, you have a lot of cold temperature, and a lot of the heat from the body goes to the core of the body. So by helping with the whole situation with the narrowing of blood vessels, what that means is that cinnamon, as in a tea, for example, will improve circulation throughout the system. So in a cold country, something like cinnamon in a tea form would be very beneficial for someone that that is experiencing that cold situation. And
Interesting.
yeah.
Oh, I want to ask a question. Now, in what proportion, how often would it have to be used to be effective?
Well, one of the recommendations that we normally give for people, because as that's a real good question, because excessive use is not good. Excessive use can affect liver function. So that's a really good question. In terms of use, you're looking at trying to remember now. I'll keep it simple. The normal recommendations, you start with a quarter to maybe half a teaspoon, and you can do that in the evening, an hour before retiring. Some people, and again, depending on the temperature, like if you're going out into a cold environment, you might want to have that in the morning. Like if I'm in a temperate country where I'm experiencing winter, as some countries are experiencing winter now, you'd want to have that early in the day. It's recommended in very small amounts, like from like a quarter teaspoon to like a normal sized teacup, and you would give it to like a young child to sip. Um, and again, as you talk about Christmas coming into New Year's, with small amounts of brandy or like Harvey's Bristol cream, it's really nice. I remember having that in Finland. Yeah, cinnamon. Oh, cinnamon and Harvey's.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And
Just a touch, just a little bit. Just
okay.
a touch.
Okay.
Lion, I think you hit on a point there. As the time ticks on, I want to just jump in here and say that too much can be a bad thing.
Yes.
That is certainly the case in cinnamon. People have heard about the value of cinnamon, and people are even starting to eat dry cinnamon, right? But I would not encourage that. It can lead to mouth ulcers, liver damage. It can lead to breathing problems, and too much cinnamon in any way can lead to lowering your blood sugar too much.
Yeah. Because it can shut down the insulin in your system.
Yeah.
And that affects the internal tissues into the gut. So what Dr. Richards is saying is very, very important.
What I would like to point out is that this same type of compound, the coumarins, right, that Albert mentioned there, is a valuable set of compounds for the reasons that he mentioned, right? Blood thinning and so on, but it's dangerous for the same reason, okay? A large amount of that compound, pure compound, will kill you. And it is in fact what we use for rat poison, right? Have you ever been told that you should not eat a sprouting white potato? When a white potato, an English potato, an Irish potato, turns green and starts to sprout, in that green part, it contains that same compound, and it's toxic, right? And that compound is given to rats. They eat it. They don't know they've eaten it. They run away, and whenever they scratch themselves, they gradually bleed to death, right? Because of the blood thinning. So a valuable and very powerful tool which should not be abused.
Agreed. Quite correct.
So, okay, go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, as Dr. Richards mentioned that, and specifically to the women, and more so to women who are menstruating. As Dr. Richards would also be aware, because cinnamon tea has been known to be very beneficial to women. There's evidence that, especially in the first couple of days of the menstrual cycle, a very small amount, we're talking just a few grams, can be useful in terms of helping with pain and other symptoms that women experience during the early stages of their menstrual cycle. It has been shown to reduce some bleeding and vomiting. The thing with that, and again, as Dr. Richards mentioned, and it's very important, that's why there's still research that's ongoing, because you've got situations where people with different blood types that have different antibodies or antigens experience different things. As with some of the research now going on with coronavirus. So that there's some indication that depending on your blood type, especially for women who are experiencing painful periods or experiencing frequent vomiting, while the cinnamon and a couple other herbs can be useful, the amount is critical. I think in terms of grams, has to be under 3 grams.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And as far as the research is with blood type, I would take that with a pinch of salt until the research comes through, as usual. As
Yeah,
usual,
there's
with
a
the
lot
blood
of stuff
type.
happening still.
Yeah. Let us just talk up the good points of cinnamon in the way that we use it in the Caribbean. You know, there is some evidence that cinnamon boosts memory. You know, that taking some cinnamon tea before an exam, in small experimental trials anyway, has actually helped students with the exam. You know, it is also linked to memory, in the sense that smells a very strong connection to memory, and sometimes just a smell of one spice or a particular smell can take you right back to your grandmother's kitchen, you know, and a smell seems to have that particular effect. So again, an area that is lacking in research, and we wait to see the results. Anything to add there, Albert?
Well, yeah, you hit on some points which I was gonna mention. There are some others. There are these studies that show that the collagen can help increase elasticity and retain the youthfulness of the cells. And again, in terms of energy medicine, one of the things we look at is the change of frequency, in terms of the electron frequency of the cells. So there are studies that have shown out of countries, including China, Germany, at the Louis Pasteur Institute and others, where cinnamon can help reduce the aging process over time. Usually a 1 year period. You have to be slowly using small amounts of it, usually like every other 2 or 3 days. So like if you use it today, you wouldn't necessarily use it tomorrow or the following day. You skip a day at least, and then have a little bit again.
Well, I'm going to look up that research, because I am so skeptical
Yes.
of aging research in humans, because, well, the researcher, we are long-lived creatures, and the researcher can't live long enough to see the results. Right? On our,
Yeah, there are studies that have been going on for a long period of time, like a year or more. And then, as you said, it's the variety as well as the type. And then if a person is in a different country, and then you're looking at, all right, is that being combined with other things? What's their diet like? Are there other things that they're using?
Lion?
Because that's exactly my next comment, like to come in with. Now we're talking about the cinnamon, right? And yes, we have that with other spices that is used. And look, for example, the Christmas season just went, right? And a simple cake, somebody baking, and they might put cinnamon, they might grate a little nutmeg, different stuff in that. And you make some sorrel, and some people might put that. You know, so different things we add. Now, with the research that Dr. Charles is talking about, we see we do not have any dosage that we could say, if you're suffering from this illness, you should not use this amount. So there is no research. All we do is a bush medicine type of thing. When you say, take a little bit of that, a little teaspoon here, a little teaspoon there. But do you think we will ever reach to that stage where we could definitely tell somebody, look, if you take this will help you in that way, or this combined with the other, whether it's cinnamon, whether it's nutmeg, whether it's lemongrass.
I
So they
think
all have the different things.
if I may, we are getting there. There are amounts, and again, because of what we're understanding now, down to the micron level, there there is information there. Again, going back to the situation like with women using it, the recommendation is there have been studies where women were using between 1 to 3 grams of cinnamon twice a day. On average, they were using 1.25 to 1.5 grams of cinnamon as a pain reliever. And they were looking at the first 3 days of the menstruation cycle, and they had different control groups and stuff like that. So there is information where that is concerned. And again, just on a side note, regarding what Dr. Richards mentioned with brain function, there is information and research done on where that is concerned. Most of the information has been done on animals. There is information coming out of research that have been done on humans regarding improving brain function, with HIV, the HIV virus in humans, reducing acne. It's ongoing. There's stuff that we know, but there's something one of my lecturers who's Chinese said some years ago. He said, you know, the nice thing about all of this, there's stuff that we've been using for thousands of years and hasn't really killed anybody, speaking colloquially. So that we know that there are things that do work. And while there are from a clinical perspective, there's the chance of you using too much of something. By and large, we don't. No, as Dr. Richards and I don't know if Dr. Richards remember this. He said, you know, the thing about this time of the year, we eat a lot of good things, but not always in the right amounts. You know, so there's a lot that we have that we take that is good, like sorrel, for instance, which is a flower. Sorrel is good. So basically, when we prepare sorrel, what we're really making is a tea. You know, we talk about a sorrel drink. I don't know how many people realize that it is a tea, but it is. Now, you can eat sorrel raw, but again, you don't want to have too much of it because it can thin your blood. All right? It can reduce cholesterol and stuff like that. So again, we want to look at, and again, from a holistic standpoint, okay, so what do we eat? How do we combine foods? How much, you know, a salad every day is good, for example, and it's good to have a combination. The human body, say from the Greeks, the human body delights in variety. That's something we know that science has proven. Combinations in salads is nice. So you might have like lettuce with cucumber, with cabbage, with tomatoes, or some steamed okra. That's a nice salad. In Scandinavia, they put a lot of berries and nuts in their salad. All right. So there's a cultural difference, and that is an element that Dr. Richards also briefly mentioned a while ago. So and there are things that we get that we have taken in from the Spanish and the French that we have that we have absorbed into our culture. But what we want to look at now from that perspective also is, okay, so there's a cultural perspective, there's a social dynamic. How do we combine it to improve our health, Dr. Richards?
Okay, perfect. Lion, I'm going to just take the privilege of taking a moment and to say thanks to Dr. Charles and to ask him to introduce himself a little bit. Tell us where you're from and what you do, right? As we turn, you know, to the half hour program here.
Dr. Albert Charles, I'm from San Fernando. I was born in San Fernando, spent my early formative years in Tobago, thank God. So for anybody listening from Tobago, grew up in Lambo and Scarborough in Tobago. My father's from Tobago. My mom's from Trinidad. She taught English and French. She went to Mona campus in Jamaica. For myself, my journey into natural medicine started really after my mother had retired from teaching, and she started losing her eyesight to glaucoma. And I made a conscious decision to start to do some research on my own and look at ways that I might be able to help in some way. Friends of my father's that were doctors would give me information. One of my teachers at the time who was teaching me judo and jiu-jitsu had a very good friend who was one of the better naturopathic specialists in Trinidad, and he started passing on some information to me, and that was really the start of my journey. And it took off from there. I did studies with several people, including the late Dr. Collymore, Stephen Ali Bokas, and others.
How do we
Short,
how do we get
yeah.
in touch? How does our audience get in touch with you? Right?
Well, we do have one of the facilities that I consult at, the Yin and Yang Clinic, which is in San Fernando, just it's
Repeat
on
that,
Carlton.
please.
The Yin and Yang Clinic is in San
Yes.
Fernando. It's on
Trinidad.
Carlton Lane in San Fernando. I can be reached there. Our office hours are from 8 in the morning to 7 in the evening, usually from Monday to Saturday. I also operate out of another facility in Chaguanas called Daystar Health Institute. Probably I would pass some information through our chat group onto, yeah, I'll pass some information on through the chat group later so people will be able to reach me. We deal with different forms of alignments. We also look at naturopathic treatments for diabetes and cancer. And we deal with stroke patients as well, using different forms of therapy, including acupuncture and electrical therapy.
Interesting. Thank you. So I'm very different from my background altogether, which is a chemistry laboratory background,
Yeah.
right? Plus, of course, our Caribbean spiritual background, which we all experience one way or another. So really, really proud to have you on board today, and thank you for your very valuable contribution so far.
Yeah.
Before we turn to the new year and New Year's resolutions, I wanted to look back to Christmas, the festivities which are not over, and say a few words about hangover, overindulgence.
Dr. Richard, I want to ask you, are you talking?
He's hit the nail on the head. He's hit the nail on the head.
Are you coming here to talk about it from medical perspective or from personal experience?
Well, I have to say that I do a lot of research. So first, let's say a couple good things about wine and so on. Wine, especially red wine, is full of those polyphenols, those dark compounds that we mentioned before, right? Those that soak up the oxygen, the wild oxygen that's in the body, polyphenols. They are so valuable, these compounds in red wine, that some laboratories and companies have come up with non-alcoholic wines rich in polyphenols so that our Muslim friends, our pregnant women, our Seventh-day Adventists, all of our community around the world can enjoy the value of polyphenols from berries and from grapes and so on, right? Without the bad effects of inebriation, of drunkenness and alcohol. So that's the first thing. Now, having said that, a lot of us have had a very good time during Christmas. And our families have to bear with us having headaches and irritability and so on in the morning, right? I, the, the hangover is an inflammatory condition, and a large proportion of the pain and so on is our body's response to inflammation, warning us of what's going on. And so one way to approach the treatment of hangover is using anti-inflammatory substances, right? And one of the best and handiest of those in the Caribbean is the Opuntia cactus, right? What do we call it? In Barbados, it's called scrunchy needle. In the Spanish countries, it's called tuna, right? Or the flat hand. In Trinidad and so on, it's called ratchet. And it's been shown in small studies that the anti-inflammatory effect is also effective against the hangover, right? So as in many of the countries of Latin America, and in Antigua and Barbuda and the Curacao, cacti are eaten. And so it's no problem for people in those countries to chop up the cactus and eat it at the side of the plate like okras.
Even the bitter part, right? Even the bitter part, yeah? The skin
Cactus,
and everything.
cactus, not aloes, cactus.
They eating everything, the skin and everything.
Yes, we're eating the skin, and that's pretty good. But another way to have it is to slice it, soak it in a jug of water, and then drink that.
That one I know about. I know about that one. Yeah.
So the soaking it in the water, right? That you soak it and you just drink, and that should ease the hangover. Yeah.
Absolutely. The best way to get it into you is definitely to eat it, right? But another way is to sip the water. I'll turn over to Dr. Albert right now. If you pin him, I'll be able to grab a piece of cactus and and a jug for you. Okay?
Dr. Charles, before you answer Dr. Charles, I just want to ask you, yeah? You know, they say when you wake up in the morning with a hangover, you just drink whatever you were drinking the night before. Just have another drink of that and you should be all right.
Yeah, the hair of the dog.
Yeah, but Dr. Charles, you go ahead when it comes to the drinking that water that you soak with the cactus and so to get it in.
Well, just talk about hangover and its treatment, please.
Yes. I know a little bit about what Dr. Richards just mentioned. What I would say that I could add to that a little bit maybe would be that the whole idea of the soaking is the diffusion of the micronutrients and the compounds into the water. So when you drink it, there are elements that would bind to the alcohol to get out of your system, one, and also help the alcohol filter out of your system faster without damaging the kidney. Because the thing, and Dr. Richards would bear this out, your kidneys help filter the alcohol out of your system, and there's a rate at which the kidneys do that. So in terms of bringing something in that has other nutrients, what you're looking at is helping that diffusion process.
Can I just butt in?
Yes.
Right, thanks. Yeah, I'm not sure how it works, the scientific mechanism, right? I do believe that there is some evidence that it acts directly on the inflammatory process, right? The serotonin and the different cascade events in the expansion of inflammation. But what you did say about alcohol is true. Our livers and kidneys do play a role in removing those alcohol toxins from the blood and there's not a lot you can do to speed up the rate.
Correct.
You say the
Correct.
rate, yeah?
Correct.
You say the rate, and I wanted to comment on that.
We have a question just before you go. We have a question, Dr. Richards. Do you use warm water or just cold water for this to soak the cactus?
Okay, good. If you pin me, I'll show you. Right? Can you see me?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, here's the cactus, right? And please pin me so that the public can see me. And I'm bringing it closer. First of all, the young pads, which are, soft and about the size of your hand, are the best ones for eating, right? The fresh New Year's growth after the rain, right? And you will have to flick off the spines, if there are any spines on it, flick them off with a knife, okay? And then slice it up nicely into strips, like strips about as wide as string beans or bora, right? And that's the way we would find them being sold in the market in Antigua and Latin American countries. People use them quite a lot. Tuna. Now, when you want to make the jug, this is my particular anti-hangover jug, right? You only need one pad. You can cut it up and you can put it in room temperature water, and you can stick that inside of your fridge and leave it in your fridge all day and enjoy it through the day, right? The taste is very mild. There's no nasty aftertaste. There is slime. And so if you're one of the people who do not like the slime of okras, this will not be for you, right? It is slimy, but there is no nasty aftertaste. It goes down smoothly. It tastes just like a very nice, fresh glass of water. The taste is far lighter than coconut water, right? Hot water can be used, right? But you're going to refrigerate it anyway. Hot water will cause the substances to come out of the cactus leaf even faster, right? Make them more available to you, but it does not need to be hot. So if you're cooking it, of course, it's hot.
It's hot. Let me ask you, I just want to play the devil's advocate here. Now, for the folks from Grenada, we call that cochineal in Grenada.
Yes.
We call it cochineal, and sometimes we use it, people grate it, they wash the hair, and do different stuff with it. But let me ask you, now, you use that as you have your hangover jug that you take. Now, we also was told that we can use, you wake up in the morning with a hangover, you get coconut water, and you drink a coconut water, and it should be good to go. Is that if you compare the both of them, do they do the same effect, or just that a myth?
I'll let my guest start on that one.
Dr. Charles.
Okay, he's gonna put me on the spot.
You put on the spot in the coconut water, yeah.
Let me say something first as a sidebar, a little humor, as Dr. Richards mentioned, the slime from the aloes. The thing about is something we say.
All right.
Okay. Yes. So when it comes to the slime, right?
Very good, especially for us.
Okay.
Just as a sidebar. Yes. So are you hearing me still? My internet connection is kind of crazy.
Yeah, you just broke up a while ago, so we're back with you now.
Right. So coconut water has certain benefits because of, among other things, how it raises, it oxygenates the system. It does have positive effects similar to other foods. One of the things is that I want to keep it simple again for those people that are listening that not into too much of the science. and I'll repeat something I said. Coconut water helps oxygenate or increase levels of oxygen in the body. It also helps raise the energy of most of the cells in the blood. Pure coconut water, young coconut water can, like saline in an emergency, be actually put directly into the bloodstream in an emergency.
It has been done.
It has been done.
In the war arena during the Second World War in the Pacific, when they were out of plasma, right? The U.S. medical people were able to fall back on filtered coconut water as a substitute for plasma, because coconut water has the same salt levels and the levels of certain nutrients as blood, and it contains a lot more sugar, energy than blood. As for coconut water oxygenating the blood, I don't know anything about that and why the body would need more oxygenation, but it is a diuretic, right? And so when we get back to kidney function, it is a diuretic. And the other good thing about it, what that comes to mind all of a sudden, is that it has a reputation among mothers and so on for helping to treat thrush, right, in the mouth and vagina. The research in Trinidad some years ago showed that a combination of coconut water and bitter marby reduced blood pressure. And so you can say on the one hand that you can recommend it as a drink to help reduce blood pressure. You know, you will go to the bathroom more often as a diuretic because you pee.
But wait.
Hang on, let me finish.
Okay.
But at the same time, you want to know that if you are already on drugs to reduce your blood pressure, that you would have to think about how much coconut water and Morbi you take.
Yes, because it can be contraindicated. Correct.
So
And
let me ask you here. Now, the hangover, right? I would, from me just thinking layman terms, right? I think that you would be somewhat dehydrated when in the morning during that process, right? So if the coconut water could be used as a form to hydrate you, and as you did with your drug of Coach O'Neill, when you drank it, it helped with your kidneys to get rid of the alcohol in your system. So would the coconut water be playing that same part?
if I may, you see, and again, to add to what I was saying earlier before Dr. Richards came in. Yes, but the thing is, what we have to remember is the reason for that dryness and which you experience in your mouth, and the reason for the hangover in the first place is because your body chemistry has been hijacked, because your body's been trying to get rid of the alcohol. That's why you're experiencing that's one of the reasons why you're experiencing the hangover in the first place. So yes, the coconut water is going to help with the hydration. Again, we want to keep it simple, because while we're speaking about science, we're speaking to an audience that we want to educate them, but at the same time, we want to keep it interesting. So I'm just simply going to say that yes, there's dryness. Yes, we want to hydrate. Yes, the coconut water is going to help in certain ways, the same way other things do, as Dr. Richards quite interestingly pointed out, because of the benefits that it has that correlate with what happens within the blood. Getting it into your system helps alleviate the negative aspects of the hangover faster. There's something else that we were speaking about, and that is with sorrel. There's information that coming out of Jamaica, that sorrel combined with ginger
That's right.
as a drink also helps with hangover, and it has been used in different types of soups and other and drinks. It's a nice. It can be had as a warm drink, and it can be had as a cold beverage, and can also be used in soups.
Actually, I'm so glad you mentioned that because Jamaica, about 10 years back maybe, was on quite a push to market the value of sorrel and Jamaica ginger.
Yes.
Jamaica ginger is a marvelously powerful ginger, the best ginger in the world, right? Unfortunately, a disease wiped out a lot of Jamaica's ginger, and Jamaica was out of the market for some years. The world was clamoring for Jamaica ginger, and there was none to be had. So Jamaica
Yes.
moved its ginger production from one side of the island to the other where there was no disease. They did some agricultural science to get the ginger seedlings multiplied and back out into the field. Unfortunately, when they went back to the market a few years later, they found that the market had adapted and had become accustomed to using poor quality ginger. So the demand for the mighty Jamaica ginger was not there anymore. You know, you can open a dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, and see the words Jamaica ginger. Right?
Wow.
It's a
Wow.
thing,
Interesting.
right? It's a thing, right? And just a little more culture. During the Prohibition in the United States, Jamaica ginger tonic was going into the United States as usual, but
Wow.
it got a boost because it's alcoholic, and imports of alcohol and use of alcohol, it was prohibited in most parts of the United States. So a lot of people are suddenly buying a lot of Jamaica ginger.
I just want to, we just have, oh my goodness, it's 3 minutes onto the hour already, just like if we just started, but it doesn't matter, we have time. I have one question from somebody in the audience. They are asking, before we move on, if you are diabetic and have high blood pressure, can you drink too much coconut water?
Oh boy.
I don't think you can. I don't know what recent scientific evidence there is on that, Dr. Richards.
Um, Scientific evidence I cannot put my finger on. I have had dietitians here in the Caribbean, in conversations and in lectures, point out that coconut water does have a very high salt content, right? It has as high a salt content as your blood. And so they tend to recommend that you do not take any vegetables or any foods which have added salt, right? And coconut water has a lot of salt. So generally speaking, the dietitians would say that, especially when you have a very high blood pressure, that you avoid salty vegetables. Some actually tell you to double boil your vegetables, right? That when you have your potatoes and so on, that you put them into one pot of hot water and then lift them out before they finish boiling, discard that water and put them into another hot water so that you reduce the amount of salt in the vegetables themselves. That's natural salt. The coconut water comes with a lot of natural salt. So the research which says that coconut water lowers blood pressure along with Morbi, right? As I said, it is preliminary research out of Trinidad, and the dietitian's advice is still to limit the amount of coconut water that you use.
Let me add to that. Just looking at something, there's some information coming out of the National Institute for Health out of the United States, specifically where on that point, in terms of reducing blood pressure, quote, additionally, coconut water contains an impressive 600 milligrams of potassium in 8 ounces, that's 240 milliliters. Potassium has been shown to lower blood pressure in people with high or normal pressure. That's just one small quote.
Excellent.
So there is some information there, but again, here's what we have to understand too. We've got a human body with average adult over 90 trillion cells, 84 to 90 trillion, 2 billion chemical reactions per second. So with all of that happening, the interaction of the food on the body and the internal action of food and the movement of that action is important, because we can look at the biochemistry, which is one side of the equation, but there are other factors, potassium being one, the salts being another.
So my question is, how does body type, and when I say body type, I mean mass, whether you're slim, you're medium build,
Lion,
yeah.
Can I hold you on that question? It's an interesting question. I know that people want to ask that type of question. I don't know how much great science there is on that yet, but with the time ticking down, I wanted really to ask our guests, and so on, to look towards the new year. Yeah, and our New Year's resolutions and so on, and how we might tackle those. I'm a laboratory man, and I learn things from old people and so on. So I'm not out there advising people about how to tackle the problems of New Year's resolutions. I have a few resolutions there that I'm going to have to wrestle with myself. So my ears are open.
All right, let me say this. Looking forward, and one of the things we talk about coconut water, and I'm gonna tie in some of the stuff we've been talking about. Looking forward. So we get up in the morning, fruit first. A breakfast of our natural fruits, very good. Every once in a while, it's good to have a little citrus. And when I say citrus, I'm talking more, especially for people of color, which we are. Grapefruit, maybe with a little agave or honey on it, with a slice of papaya or banana. Some people, like my brother, he's allergic to bananas. So a little pawpaw or some other semi-sweet fruit, great for breakfast. Mid-morning, have a salad. If you're into meat or you don't want to have meat and you want to have something a little fleshy, steamed or baked fish, great. For those people that want to avoid chicken, a little bit of turkey with some ground provision and some beans, fantastic. And as we coming out of our New Year's celebrations and looking at moving forward, again, our natural juices, we talk about coconut water, we talk about mobi, sorrel every once in a while. Noni, nice thing about noni as a plant, the fruit, if you add it to other things, depending on how you use it, it'll take the flavor of other things. I made a punch the other day. We made a punch down at the clinic with noni, sea moss, almond that have been crushed down to a powdered form, almond and papaya. That was fantastic. You didn't even taste the noni in it. But
say it again, please. Let's hear that all again.
Was noni that the full fruit. We crushed it, blended it, strained it, because noni has a lot of fine seeds. We strained it.
Was it the ripe one or the green one?
Yeah, ripe one. Ripe one. You know what gets ripe? It's a kind of grayish cream color.
Disgusting color.
Yeah, well, but right. So we blended it, strained it. We blended, strained it, added some sea moss, almonds. What was it? I think we put cranberries and papaya with a little Angostura bitters. It was fantastic. So it makes
one last time. Let's hear it again.
Noni, sea moss, almonds. Well, we had a what do you call a NutriBullet. So we got the almonds down to our powder forms. We had the almonds. I think it was a little linseed, papaya, just the outer skin with the pulp and the seeds. The seeds are very, very nutritious when you blend them, and a little bit of Angostura bitters.
Okay.
I know the Angostura bitters part you'll appreciate, Dr. Richard.
Oh yes. Well, right. I love the way you're going there. The meal plan that you dashed off so quickly. maybe we should write it down and send it off to people. But one of the good things I heard
Yes.
so far was fiber, 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 and fiber. Right? I had some great fiber in the fruits in the morning, more
Yes.
again the beans at lunchtime. I'm listening to your smoothie there, right? How does the rest of the day? What about evening now?
Evening, it's good, and something I learned from a Korean person that they do that we have. Mid afternoon to evening, it's good to have something steamed or baked, whether it's like breadfruit, which is a little, some people say, oh, that's heavy. So you have a couple of slices of breadfruit, maybe with some red beans or some lentils that have been garnished with some onions and tomatoes and some juice
So
or
what's
some
that,
coconut
lunch?
water.
That's lunch.
That's evening.
When you say slices of breadfruit, right? Two, what is two slices of bread? That's a lot of breadfruit.
Again, you see, how should I put it? Depending on the island that you're on, a slice can be a big thing. Because in Tobago, like I've seen, like in Saint Lucia, a slice is a big thing. That yeah, so there's a thing I like with the Saint Lucian people. Like when they say, "Oh, you want a piece of watermelon?" It's a big piece of watermelon.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, we like the variety. You don't want to overdo it. You have a little. When you want to enjoy food, it's like we don't want to. Yes, you can say, all right, drink this much of something or eat this much of something, but we want to have a little fun. You don't want to overindulge and have too much. But I would, when I say I'm just gonna say two slices and leave it at that. And
Well,
let your stomach be the judge.
yeah. Well, what I learned also from the different Asian cultures that I interacted with, Southeast Asians, is that people eat small quantities frequently. So
Yes.
in Malaysia, for example, people go around every hour or so. Somebody walks to the office with a tray, which you can lean over and get a little punnet of something to eat at the desk. You know, you don't have a massive meal.
Yeah. They have like 4 or 5 meals for the day.
Yeah,
Same thing in
yeah.
Finland. Yeah.
There are people coming through the office selling all the time. It's very interesting, different from the way we eat. So you got two afternoon, and I heard the lentils in there. That's more fiber again,
Yeah.
right? And it's hard to get our 30, 40 grams of fiber per day, but you're going good. Let's see how you get into the evening now.
Um,
The night.
Evening would include something where you would have maybe uh, something like, well, what they call in Europe like rye bread, a couple of slices of slightly toasted bread, depending on the type. Some people would prefer white or brown bread. A thing that is popular in some parts of the Caribbean where they have French and Dutch influence, they like some heavier bread sometimes in the evening. So like if you go to Martinique and stuff like that. You might know a little bit more about this, Dr. Richards. There are those countries where people
Yeah.
like the heavier bread. So you have bread maybe with some fish or uh, mozzarella cheese, maybe, and with some tomatoes. That's a thing. Bread, cheese, tomatoes, and tea, or a glass of wine with that, or
Well, Dr. Charles,
pasta, or
Dr. Charles,
pasta and potato with wine.
Pastor, it sounds delicious and so on, but I want to lick you up. But I don't have all that kind of money. I don't.
But that was my next thought, because as we know, eating healthy could be expensive. So
I disagree.
no. Listen,
I
hold on,
disagree
hold
as
on.
well.
Hold on,
If we
hold on.
planting,
Hold on. Eating healthy could be expensive, But when you get sick, it could be even more expensive. Now, we are not able because we all don't live in the Caribbean. We all don't have a backyard. So we may not be able to plant everything most time through the year. I have to buy, you know? So and what ratio? And I mean, I know we're talking about going into the new year and trying to do with so much of five and trying to be healthy. What ratio are we looking at? I mean,
I think
yeah.
beyond the ratio, and I think Dr. Richards would agree with me on this. I think beyond the ratio, what we need to look at is how we prepare our foods. If you're doing more steamed or boiled or baked food, and again with the types of combinations, you would find that there's less cooking. So and the type with the type of preparation, I think that would be a factor with the cost. Because if I am boiling or baking food, there's less cooking, quote unquote. I don't know if what Dr. Richards would want to say about that. I think that's the point I would want to make. The way we prepare the food, I think, is more critical.
I just glanced down at the time there. Thanks for referring that one back to me. I've been listening to you, Doc, and I think we have two problems here. We've been calling some very nice but very expensive foods, and we also put you on the spot a bit and ask you to talk in general rather than to say, okay, I have this specific problem. I'm overweight. How do I proceed? Or I have diabetes. How do I proceed? I have high blood pressure. And so the first thing I'd like to do is recommend a series of books by some local dietitians, right? I live in Barbados, and I had the privilege of coming across three very small books by dietitians uh, Ms. Rowe and Miss Griffith. I'm going to share them on my screen in a little bit, okay? But they are very thin books and they're richly illustrated and they are about what we eat already. So shepherd's pie is in there, macaroni pie is in there, cuckoo fungi is in there, right? And they tell us how much we can eat and how we should prepare it, depending on which of the three great evils we are suffering from, our high cholesterol, our high blood pressure, or our high blood sugar, right? These three evils that we are tackling. As you know, Barbados sometimes claims to be the amputation capital of the world, right? With a lot of diabetes around and a very high number of amputations per capita. And so the whole country has been put on alert, as Caribbean countries should in general, to push back against diabetes and related complaints. The second takeaway, general takeaway, I think, is fiber. And I think it's a good idea to start with some oats in the morning, right? Good old cheap oats. Yes, we don't grow it in the Caribbean, but it's a great start. Something else that might be good and rich in fiber like that. Another fiber-rich porridge. You know, Jamaicans have a lot of flour of various types, and we should look into the value of those. Oats with whatever fruits we have to hand, right? Those who have a little more to spend can mix in some almonds and so on. So a quarter cup of oats boiled to make it half cup, right? Is a great start in the morning with those fruits. Regardless of your condition, especially, you know, with diabetes, we're talking about carbohydrate. Yes, carbohydrate. Take that carbohydrate in the morning in the form of a complex carbohydrate, right? No sugar added. Now, the other thing in the 15 minutes that we have left is to talk about, you know, motivation. And I'm really not an expert at that. We are hoping to invite a female scientist, a dietitian, right, onto our program soon, and so maybe we can tackle those things in greater detail. And we did spend a lot of time looking back at Christmas. I'm glad that we did. I'm glad that we did. And we still have a lot of ground to cover when it comes to looking forward to the new year. So let's take it in steps. My message I want to leave with you is let's start it simple in the morning with some oats, right? A nice half cup of boiled oats. Okay.
So, when it comes to motivation, right? Giving people, helping them to be self-motivated when it comes to eating properly, eating healthy. Dr. Charles, give us some words as to how we can motivate ourselves to keep that push and keep something in the back of our head, to keep us on that track.
I'll use something quite simple. It's an affirmation that one of my late instructors taught me. Every day. All right, let's say it together. I'll say it as I say it, you'll repeat it. All right?
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
In every way.
In every way.
I will do something.
I will do something
to improve myself.
To improve myself.
For the good of myself.
For the good of myself.
For the good of my family.
For the good of my family.
For the good of my country.
For the good of my country.
One more time. Every day.
Every day.
In every way.
In every way.
I will do something.
I will do something.
To improve myself.
To improve myself.
For the good of myself.
For the good of myself.
For the good of my family.
For the good of my family.
For the good of my country.
For the good of my country. I was just writing it down. Every day, in every way, I will do something to improve myself for the good of my family.
No, for the good of myself.
For the good of myself. For the good of my family. And for the good of my country.
Yeah.
So I hope all they get that right there. So it's something that you can repeat to yourself. Write it down. Put it in your phone. Put it wherever. Every day, in every way, I will do something
to improve myself.
To improve myself.
For the good of myself. For the good of my family. For the good of my country.
There you have it. Dr. Richards,
Right?
where you hiding out here? You repeating the thing what going on?
I repeated it, and then you said you were writing it down, so I didn't have to repeat it again. I was there trying to bring up. I'm going to share the screen in a minute to show the nutrition books, the diet books. Now, I thank you very much, my guest, for that one there. Motivation is a problem, and we have suffered from yo-yo dieting and so on. So we know that crash diets and so on are not the answer. And we're going to bring on people who will talk about the problem associated with that. And I love that little morning ditty, because it addresses baby steps, right? Not saying in this whole year I'm going to do this, but today, right? Today I'm going to manage to eat, to take my walk. So
take one new thing every day. Do one thing.
Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put my shoes by the door. I'm a mother. I'm very busy. Let me put my walking shoes by the door. So as I come to the door and I drop my bag, bam, walking shoes on and I'm gone, right? I'm gone down the road for half hour and I'm back, right? we really need the ladies' perspective on here. We were talking about cinnamon and menstruation and so on earlier, and we really
Yes.
didn't have any ladies on, and we really need to have the women
Yes.
scientists. You know?
Yeah.
I'm going to just share the screen here by two excellent women scientists, the dietitians Griffith and Rowe. So if I'll just put up the screen, guys, here we go. Share screen, and I'm going to do that. There you go. That's my copy. See how it's beaten up?
Hmm.
Everyday Diabetes Guide. And you see cake there? Yes, you can eat it, but what
Yes.
type?
Correct.
I've cooked this
Correct.
one, right? One day my wife came and she cooked every one of these dishes here, and I use them as well.
That was
But
like porn on the cover.
it looks like pone, and there is a pone recipe in there, and there is a the Bajans have a special treat that they call sweet bread, and this one is made of oats, right? The sweet bread with coconut in the middle, and flavored with cinnamon, a lot of cinnamon, right? And you take a small amount, you never take a large amount, yeah. This book here, what can I eat? Lower your blood pressure in 14 days. 15 favorite Bajan recipes made, and they've been tested by people. That people have tasted them and gone away, and they've gone away and improved the flavor and taking them back to the people again, right? Changing, improving the flavor and sticking with the principles of dietetics. Right. So here is the table of contents. You really can't see it that well, right? But yep, I'm going to go back, and this is table of contents to lower your cholesterol and lower your blood pressure, and the everyday diabetes guide. And the three books taken together, for me, they work. They really work. They have guides inside for um, daily and weekly meal plans. Okay, so I'll just leave this on the screen for a little while so that people can make note. But it's by Julian Rowe, registered dietitian, and Karen Griffith, registered dietitian. I looked on the internet to see if they were readily available. I did not see them in Amazon, and I'll try and find out what it is. But there are three of them, okay? I saw them being promoted in Jamaica, in the Gleaner, right? But for some reason, I haven't found them on Amazon. So I'm going to find out how you can get them, okay? And you can see the Barbados Dietitian organization there, logo at the bottom. So these women are experts, okay? Right, I'm out.
Oh boy, what a program, yeah? Oh my, Dr. Charles, I want to make us up. Dr. Charles, he left us. Oh, apparently his internet dropped. Apparently his internet dropped. Oh no. Well, Dr. Richard, sorry. Oh, Dr.
Anthony? Yes, Anthony.
Just Anthony. But Dr. Richards, listen. Time does fly, they say, when you're having fun. Oh, yeah, Dr. Charles, he is back with us. Dr. Charles, I want you to promise us that this will not be your last time on Mother Earth here with us.
It will not be. I'm sorry that the internet just kept cutting out there. Hopefully, we will be able to have a couple, not just other sessions, but one or two other professional colleagues on board.
Yes, we'll leave it
Dr.
there.
Richards mentioned having a female
Yes.
to address certain issues because there's some information that I was just pulling up here from some stuff that I had researched some time ago on using some of our natural herbs for headaches, dealing with high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and diabetes. But getting into that will be for another time.
All right, all right. Listen, I want to thank you very much for taking the time from your busy schedule to be with us today. Because listen, Dr. Charles
and Dr. Richards as well, because he's at least as busy as I am, if not more so.
Listen, and for the last week, he definitely had a lot on his plate and with his family, and we wish your family well, Dr. Richards, speedy recovery and all that good stuff.
Thank you.
And as we move into the new year, we hope that you get strength, both of you, strength, vision, to help our people, because our people need to be educated in their health, in ways of taking care of their bodies. And I want you guys to know that we really do appreciate you coming on here to help with that edification process.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, and to both of you, to your families, looking at the time that we are in, our connectivity is key, and our lifting each other up is very, very important. And I thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I just wanted to thank Lion, and in the background, Ann Worm, who is always there, reminding us and helping with the tech and designing the invitation posters and rounding up the audience, right? Miss Ann Worm from Grenada, married and living in Barbados, is also an education professional, right, specializing in special education, and is the power behind these interesting programs on Rampoon Radio. So big ups and hail to Ann Worm.
Indeed.
Thank you guys so very much. And normally let's have an after party. We could give out a Zoom. Let me give out, listen, if you want to jump in on the Zoom for a little bit after we get off the live, you are welcome to do so. I can give you the Zoom. The meeting is 889-8857-7551. Sorry, I think I gave you the wrong Zoom.
Just put it in the chat. Right?
Let me pin it at the bottom. It's the Zoom is 821-3693-3791, and the password is HUBS, all common letters, HERBS.
Could we just Ann Worm to stick it into the chat, please? Right.
You can show it up
Right,
here.
before we go up, just stick it in the chat. Well, this is Zoom chat, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'll add it to the comments. I'll add it to the comments
on
at the
YouTube.
bottom. Yeah, and I'll pin it right there at the bottom of the Facebook page. So you guys, if you want to jump in on the after party, you can. All right. The password is HERBS, HERBS. So that's how we do it for years. Thank you guys so very much. Until next, what was the date for next month? What's the date for next month?
It's 4 weeks hence, right? So,
yeah. So we'll be in next month again. Thank you guys so very much. God bless you all. Do not let anyone steal your joy. If you created it for yourself, and I want you to let us be healthy in 2021 and beyond. Oh, yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Right. Right, so, and here we are in the after party. Lion, thank you for that.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on.
In the beginning, by the sixth day morning, the whole creation was given birth. witness the first paradise lost. And since then his mother earth who end up paying the cost. That's why I'm pleading, Mother Earth is crying. He said to stop the polluting. Mother Earth is dying. We got to stop the polluting. Whole attitude got to change and priorities rearrange. We got to become more competent. The way we protect the environment and fight for all that it's worth. Fight to save Mother Mother crying. In case you don't know, the planet is dying slow. What a sad way to go. Get it. The ozone layers depleting. Belching tons of pollutants. Atmosphere.